Guys, as far as I'm concerned, Islam has no place in the UK. Now, I'm not talking about individual Muslims, but Islam, Islamification of the UK, Islamism, the political arm of Islam, has no place in the UK whatsoever. Personally, I'd like to see a significant reduction in the amount of Muslims in the UK because I know what's happening to this country. All right, I'm English. I'm actually half Welsh as well. I just found out I was an eighth German, which is quite interesting, and I'll explain why a little bit later. But we're going to go through some stuff that I found out about Zia Yusuf and some other things here about the burqa in this video. And I just want to highlight to you, and I don't want this to be a depressing video because it's not like that. I just want to highlight the issues that we're walking into here and how the vast majority of the population of the United Kingdom are unaware of it. And look, I am sponsored by Ground News, so I could do, in the middle of this video, if you want, a 1-minute advert, and it would be really false, and you'd be going, oh, this sucks, Tim, I'm going to skip it. Or I'm just using it because they do throw me a couple £100 every time I talk about Ground News. And I need that money because YouTube doesn't like people like me. I'm talking about replacement theory. I'm saying that it's not a theory, that we're actually being replaced. And we're going to have a look at that in a minute, right? Because it's true. But what we can do, as opposed to have a full advert on Ground News, we can just basically just show you that I use it because I do use it. It's the only thing I use. Reform Chairman Zia Yusuf quits after burqa ban row. I can see straight away its left is 43% and centre is 25% and the right's 32%. So I think the left are more interested in this story, probably because he's a minority in the UK. And I hate using that term, but it's true. And of course, they're thinking this is probably some unjust thing. I'll click on it now. And what Ground News does, of course, and this is why I use it and why you should too as well, it shows you where the biases are. This is the thing. I used to read the Telegraph, used to read the Times, used to read the Guardian, the Observer when it was around to get a balanced viewpoint. And I realised they've all got an agenda. So here, I can now see what that agenda is. So this top story here, just gives you a summary, which former Chairman Zia Yusuf quits after burqa ban row. Very interesting, actually. Katie Hopkins called him out on this. And he said, are you going to ban the burqa? And there was a politician, of course, asking Keir Starmer, we'll have a look at that in a second, are you going to ban it? Keir Starmer, of course, he never answers anything, does he? Farage waits to see which way the wind blows before he commits to anything. And Zia Yusuf was like, I'm going to go and do something else now. Now, Zia Yusuf's real name, of course, is Mohammed Ziauddin Yusuf. All right, multi-millionaire British businessman, no issue with that whatsoever. Chairman of UK Reform, he was anyway. And of course, he stepped down. This was seen as a lot of right-wing parties as a big win to have like Muslims. You can't be called racist, can you? It's like it's quite hard to call Lawrence Fox a racist when he's married to a black woman. You know what I mean? And I mean, I don't think Lawrence Fox is a racist, but I'm not saying that. But you know what I mean? But some political parties will bring in some people like this so they can't be called far right. And I don't think that's the case with Zia as such. But I'm just saying that it kind of benefited them quite a lot. And also, the Conservative Party was exactly the same. And this is the problem. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Therefore, I give notice that Kemi Badenoch is elected as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party. I welcome her to the stage. And it's great, isn't it great that we've got another female leader? And isn't it great that we're the first party to have a black leader?
Well, probably not for long, mate, because Robert Jenrick, I think, is going to oust Kemi Badenoch. Remember, she was what's called an anchor baby, unfortunately, and she came here. Well, her mum came here, had her as a child. Kemi then went back to Nigeria. She was educated in Nigeria, educated in America, and then came here. Her mother came here to get Kemi British citizenship, and that is the problem we've got now. We're celebrating all this kind of diversity where it's not necessary. And what I mean is you'll get more people going into politics. You'll get more black people. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever race, gender it is, going in when you stop celebrating. And that's the entire issue I had with DEI, with the military, of course. But it doesn't stop us being worried about being called racist, does it? By the way, Ground News, you just pick a story here. You go there, you have a look at it, you read the story. It's all good. Watch the film. It just shows you where those biases are happening pretty much. And you can see on Channel 4 News there, highly factual, leans left. So you're all good. And of course there you've got the whole centre section. You can see what's factual correct. I mean, it's a great thing. I would literally, there's a great offer for this, 40% off. And at the end of the video as well, I'll put a barcode up for you, a QR code or something you can click on. I would get it, guys. But look, Steve Edgington here is doing some fantastic work. And he's got Richard Tice here. And I'm not a huge fan. I don't know what's happening with reform, guys. You know I don't buy into it. I don't buy into any political party for many, many reasons. However, just have a listen to this then. This is the problem I've got with Richard. I've got a problem with Farage and other people as well. They're not committing. They don't want to be called racist, do they? They're not willing to say that Islam is a massive problem in the UK and something needs to be done about it. So have a listen to this.
And he predicts that by 2063, Britain will be minority white British.
This is about us in 2063. This country, this country that I'm in right now, if you're not in the UK, by the way, this would be quite interesting to you. By 2060, I mean, in London, this has happened now. But by 2063, the entirety of the UK is going to be a minority white country. Now, don't forget, of course, in the world, whites only make up about 5%. So we are the global minority as it is. But just listen to what Stephen here says. And more importantly, listen to what Richard says.
And he predicts that by 2063, Britain will be minority white British. Is that a concern of yours at all?
Yeah, I don't think that's I haven't seen those predictions, and 2063 is a long way off. But
it's a few decades.
Yeah, it's a few decades. Well, it's I'm trying to do the maths quickly in my head, but it's in most people. I'll be long gone. Put it like that.
I'll be long gone, he says. And this is one of the fundamental issues. Now, people in interviews say things they don't mean. We all understand that. And what we do, of course, is we sit on the sidelines and we throw those spears. That means it's unfair. We understand it's unfair. And he probably regrets saying that, well, I'll be long gone. Because what we all think is he doesn't care. Now, I'm sure he cares. I'm sure he's got family and everything. He doesn't want us to fall into a state where Britishness has gone. What it means to be English is gone. What it means to be Welsh Scottish from Ireland is gone. All that is gone. He doesn't mean that, but he said it. And what that means is that we look at that and it makes us think about things.
I think that the UK is we are a Christian nation. We should stand up and be proud of that. And let's see what happens. But
it will be a huge moment, though, in British history. For the first time ever in this nation's more than 1,000 years of proud history, the country will be minority white British. And many
that. You're obsessed with this stuff, okay?
So many other people, Richard. It's not just me, to be fair.
The way you ask the questions, right? What sort of population do we want to have? Can we make that population more prosperous? Can we have a high quality, highly skilled immigration policy? And yeah, it's like one of these things. It's a bit like what we started on in terms of, do you want to ban the burqa? Let's have a discussion about it.
And this is the problem I have with reform. There is no discussion about it. If I remember correctly, Belgium, France, is it Holland? They've all banned the burqa. It's a repressive thing. Now, irrespective of whatever you think about the burqa, let's not have a discussion about it. Let's look at what other people have done and do the same thing. This is England. I've spoken about it before. The problem is we let men like this, like Richard, like Nigel, like Zia himself, Mohammed himself. We allow these men to push this kind of thing. It's like, no, mate. No, it is wrong. Fundamentally, it's wrong to be a minority in the UK. It's as a white man. This is my country from 1400 years ago. Can you imagine if I was in Nigeria going, let's just have a look at the kind of population we want. In Nigeria, you're not allowed to be on television or in any kind of state media or anything like that, or their government. If you're a white person, you're not allowed to. In the UAE, in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, you can't be in government. It's an Islamic government. You cannot be in government there if you are a Christian person. It's not allowed. Why do we allow it here? We shouldn't allow it here, and we are weak. And that's exactly what I'm saying. We are weak men and we are weak women, and we're promoting them to the top of our businesses, of course. That is fundamentally the issue. This is the kind of thing we've got to look at there. Nigel speaking about the Jews, they need to survive as a race. Nigel speaking about the English. Race doesn't matter, it's about integration, and that is the problem. It does matter. It matters to me, and it matters to you. Look, this is the kind of thing we're talking about. We don't know who we're bringing in. This woman's busking and someone reaches in and tries to steal her money. Who are these people that are coming in? We just literally don't know. Do you support these banning of outfits in the West? Now, what Jim Chimmery here says, and he makes a very good point. Yes, because they are repressive, lesser extent the hijab, but they basically are tied to a specific ideology that replaces women under a framework of control, modesty policing, and segregation from public life. This is important. Because what a lot of Muslim men say, and I'm not saying all Muslim men say this at all, and I haven't really got a problem with Muslim men whatsoever. I genuinely don't. I have a problem with Islam and the Islamification and the Islamists. That's what I have a problem with. The politicised ideology of Islam is what I have a huge problem with, especially as a Christian Roman Catholic man. I'm going to have that. I'm going to stand up against it because we have this is a Christian land. This is not an Islamic land. Important to remember that, because a lot of Christians out there like me, that look like me, that aren't going to tolerate this kind of stuff. Now, what I'm not interested in is Muslim men saying they can't control themselves around women who are uncovered. I'm like, my nieces are uncovered, mate. And they're 8 years old. What are you telling me? Just because Muhammad married Aisha when she was like 6 and then consummated that marriage with 9. And because he's the archetypal Muslim, of course, Muslims refer to him. That's what it is. We can do what he does. In my mind, they're interested in 6-year-olds and 9-year-olds. I'm not interested in that, not in the UK. If you want to do it in your own countries, mate, I've got no issue with it. I've been in Afghanistan. You know what I mean? I understand what goes on there. I have no issue with that. Well, I can't do anything about it. I've got a massive issue with it, but I can't do anything about it. Here I can. Or, as it turns out, I can't. And of course, the truth is, replacement theory. Everyone's saying it's not real. I'm sorry. Look, what I'm seeing on the streets when I walk around some of these cities is the fact that the white faces have now become black faces. Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. That's what the comments are for. Am I seeing something you guys are not seeing? And if so, where are you living? I live in the countryside, so I don't see a great deal of this. However, when I come into the cities, I see a huge amount of it. Remember, London now, I think, is only 37% white British. It's happening in other cities as well as we go around. This is a British school in 2025. Now, this is Sarah Puchin, a Reform MP, of course, asking this question in the House of Commons. Used to be a Conservative MP. Listen to the obfuscation by Keir Starmer. What we're trying to do is ban the burqa, obviously, for women, basically. We want women not to be oppressed, no matter who they are in the UK.
Sarah Puchin. Yeah.
Given the Prime Minister's desire to strengthen strategic alignment with our European neighbours, will he, in the interests of public safety, follow the lead of France, Denmark, Belgium and others and ban the burqa?
Yeah. Prime Minister.
Can I welcome her to her place? But I'm not going to follow her down that line.
And Starmer goes on like that, unfortunately, not actually asking the question. So then we're going to see this young lady trying to talk about my body, my choice nonsense on TV. Now, if you can stick with this video longer than 5 seconds, you're a better man than me.
You're big on saying we shouldn't tell women what to wear. You're telling
my
Sarah...
body, my choice. Isn't that what we've been
You're
fighting
telling
for?
Sarah Puchin what she's allowed to think,
no,
what she's allowed to ask as a question.
She should be better of empowering women instead of breaking them down for unreasonable security issues. We have no gaps in the law when it comes to removing the hijab, removing the niqab, and having that, whether it's courts, whatever. So what she's talking about is actual racism, discrimination, and against a particular group. And whether she likes it or not, that's what it is. And against another woman, from another woman, who has the first time in the Parliament, Prime Minister's questions to raise some real issues that she has the power to actually focus on.
Let me put this to you. One of the points raised by all of these nations worldwide is we have a problem with cultural integration. We have silos in British cities where communities never mix.
Well, tell them what to wear. The exact same thing. I must dress like you. I must, have the same accent.
Fahima, this doesn't work it doesn't work if you shout. Listen to the question, please.
I'm interested in listening to all points of views. I just struggle, and I'm sorry if I come across as misogynistic or anything else. I just don't want to hear that level of screeching. It's an inability to have mature discourse. You have these people on TV because they make good TV. I'm a big fan of when you come to my country, you obey my rules. I don't think people do this. Obviously, they want to free something, do something, and they're here. This is a British tradition you're messing with. I don't want to see this. Now, this is on a small scale, but this is happening on a larger scale. We just don't see it. They're actually having to take the horses in, actually having to guard the guard, because you've got armed response officers there, because you've got people that shouldn't be in this country. Let's be realistic, guys. Why are they here? What are they contributing? And a question that was asked on Twitter, what would happen if all the Pakistanis left the UK overnight? Well, I wrote, white British girls won't be raped anymore. Now, when I said that, I actually put another post up later going, 30,000 likes. It must be popular in the UK. It's something like 38,000 likes, because it's the truth. If you rid yourself of all Pakistanis. And here's the issue. And my issue isn't with Pakistanis. Don't get me wrong. Of course it isn't an issue with Pakistanis. But with the Pakistani community, or let's say Muslim community at large, where was the condemnation of the men that did this? As I said, in Telford, I believe 10% of all Muslim men in Telford were jailed and convicted for, I think it was convicted, I don't know about jailed, for the rape of young British white girls. There was no conversation about that. Like, how is 10%? I mean, and if that's 10%, are you telling me other people didn't know about this? And this is the leader of the Scottish Labour Party. Let's just have a listen to what he really says here.
A real power, if not if we just have more Pakistanis sitting in council chambers and parliaments, but actually having more Pakistanis and South Asians sitting in the corridors of power, making the decisions. And that's where I'll end tonight, is to say the change is coming.
It is, mate.
And the days where our South Asian community are viewed as a vote bank or a curry bank are well and truly gone.
I mean, it's all spelled out there. I'll leave you with this. Look, that QR code's up here now for Ground News because it's about £7 a month, mate. But I'll be honest with you, you get to see where the biases are. Don't be just blindly following the BBC or the Telegraph or the Times or anything like that. Go and have a look at Ground News because it gives you stories from different angles and you can make sure. It also gives you a biased distribution thing. So over time, you can see how biased your own thinking has become and then you can sort of lean the other way if you want to. It's about £7. I mean, they do sponsor my channel. That's why I talk about it. And if we don't start using that product, I'll have to do like a minute's worth advert in the middle. No one wants that, guys. Look, I appreciate it. It's a long video. Thanks for watching. But recognize the fact there are people like myself and there's people like good people like yourself that are doing something about this. We really need to start thinking about things like what are reforms supposed to be doing for us? What are we doing with being replaced in this country? We need to start standing up for this because if we don't do it, what is that future like for our children? That's the kind of thing we need to think about. Hey guys, take care. Have a great weekend. Tim Davies, Fast Ship Performance.